Ladies and gentlemen, here we go again. One of the most requested videos on my channel, the series called the GBUUO, the good, bad, ugly, underrated, and overrated, where I share with you guys my thoughts and overview on a particular fragrance house. In today's video, of course, Christian Dior, split in two. This is basically their private blend. Christian Dior happens to be my favorite designer fragrance house. I love the Dior Homme collection, the Fahrenheit collection. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Tremendous quality, refinement, elegance, sophistication with all their fragrances. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys my thought on all the Christian Dior La Collection Privee fragrances I own, plus the three here that I have from the leather Maison Christian Dior collection. So if you guys are a fan, you want to hear all about these, stick around. The video's coming up right now. French fashion designer Christian Dior exploded in the fashion industry back in 1947 with his post-World War II fashion new look collection that really put him on the map, and the rest is history. First fragrance introduced by Christian Dior brand was actually in 1947. It was called Miss Dior, and to this day, Christian Dior has over 230 fragrances in their portfolio and counting. There are many classics to talk about, many outstanding, groundbreaking, trendsetter fragrances that I too many to list in this particular video, but today we're actually going to talk about two collections from Christian Dior. These are more private blend collections like Tom Ford private blend, for instance. I have about 10 bottles right here, 7 of which are from the La Collection Privee introduced in 2004 and then discontinued to then be reformulated or repackaged. They really changed much in the look of the outlook of the presentation of the bottles, but they have a new collection now with a lot of different fragrances called Maison Christian Dior, which I have 3 of that I'm going to share with you today in this video. So without any further ado, let's hop into the collection. I'm going to start chronologically in the order that they were released, starting with the first one, 2004 release, Bois d'Arc, this one right here, which is an amazing iris fragrance composed by master perfumer Annick Monardo, which happens to be one of my favorite perfumers of all time. Bois d'Arc is a woody chypre fragrance that combines patchouli, myrrh, and honey in an astounding, profound way. This stuff here is just unbelievably good. If you look at my bottle, I've been wearing a lot of this fragrance. This is actually my 3rd bottle of Bois d'Arc, believe it or not. I do share this with my wife. It's I think it's definitely safe to say that this is her favorite from this collection. This stuff is, masterfully put together. You're gonna get that honey sweet, that's a little semi-sweet, a little bit woodsy. The iris here is amazing. You got a little bit of patchouli as well and a little bit of myrrh to add just a little bit of excitement to the scent. One fragrance that lasts all day long. It pushes really well for the first couple hours, but I'm not really gonna get deep into projection, longevity with these fragrances. I wanna keep it simple because the video is going to be long enough as it is. But Bois d'Arc 2004 from the original lineup, definitely one of my favorites and definitely one that you should check out if you can. This is still in production today, if I'm not mistaken, and definitely a stellar composition from Annick Monardo. Also from 2004, from the original lineup, we have Eau Noir, which was composed by Francis Kurkdjian, which needs no introduction. He now has his own fragrance line called MFK, Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This particular one is a very unapologetic, spicy lavender with a whole bunch of elements here of spiciness. It's very dark, it's resinous. It's deep, it's bold, it's brash. It's one of those fragrances that's going to clear out a room. If you spray this too much, I'm telling you, you're going to be nuclear. This stuff here is unbelievably good. It's definitely one of my favorites. Not something that I tend to wear regularly. As you see here, not much worn here. It is very powerful and very unique. It's something that I really need to be in the mood for, or I would spray, 2 to 3 sprays, stay in the house for about an hour or so before I actually head out, because it has a very weird effect in the first 45, 50 minutes of this particular fragrance right here. What I love about Eau Noir is as you get to the middle of the fragrance into the dry down, Immortelle as well as coffee notes will play a role in this fragrance, making it very creamy and very exciting fragrance to me. It is very unique. It's definitely one of my most unique fragrances I've ever put my nose on. If I had to put like a top 10 unique fragrances of all time, this would definitely make the top 5. So sadly discontinued. I don't think you can readily find this available here in US. I think you can find this in some French boutiques. So I would suggest trying this first. Don't ever blind buy this sucker because it is, like I said, a very unique fragrance, not for everyone. So from 2004, Eau Noir, so let's carry on. From 2009, perhaps my most favorite as far as wearability, something that's easy to wear, mass appeal, definitely gonna get you compliments. It's Ombre Nuit from 2009. This particular fragrance here, I wore a lot of this fragrance. This is my second bottle. I've actually decanted some of this as well, but it's definitely the one that I worn the most just because it has a little bit of a designer-esque vibe. So I would say that Ombre Nuit is to Christian Dior's La Collection Privee as Tuxedo is for Yves Saint Laurent's private collection. It has a very designer-esque with a niche quality vibe to it. It has some rose, some pepper, and of course the star, the center star here, which is the amber, and a little bit of a nutty feel to the fragrance. Absolutely stellar fragrance. You're not going to have any problems with this when you wear this. You're definitely going to get complimented smells of class, of sophistication, of elegance. Anybody who's caught wearing this is definitely going to get compliments, and it's definitely going to be one of those fragrances that will give you positive notices. So Ombre Nuit from 2009 is the most wearable from the bunch. This next one is from 2010, a year after Ombre Nuit. This one's called MidSouth, and this is pretty much a fragrance that has myrrh, incense, honey, and spices. I absolutely love this fragrance. Definitely one of my favorites. Criminally underrated here in the US market. Unfortunately, due to poor sales here in the US market, this particular fragrance was quote unquote discontinued, and now you can still find this in the French boutiques, which I do suggest you guys to try this, get your nose. This stuff is absolutely unbelievably good. If you like L'Art du Désert du Marocain from Tower Perfumes, this is very close to that fragrance. It's like they could be cousins or brothers. It's in the same vein, the same genre, that oriental, spicy, very Middle Eastern-like, but not, you know, a fragrance that's going to clear out a room. It starts off strong and pungent. There's also some rose in here. It is just a stellar fragrance, you know, fragrance that to me, it's a dream come true. You know, it's one of the fragrances that when I first put my nose in, I just fell in love with this brand. This one in Bois d'Argent. Bois d'Argent, of course, years before. But this one here, when I put my nose in, I just had to have it. Criminally underrated, definitely worth checking out. If you like incense type scent, this stuff here is a masterpiece. For a vetiver lover like myself, of course, I had to have the 2010 composition Vetiver from Christian Dior. This is definitely one of my favorite vetivers of all time. I'm currently doing a countdown of favorite vetiver fragrances. Will this make the list? You'll have to watch those videos. But this is a 2010 release, and it's basically vetivers, you know, Haitian vetiver, Javanese vetiver laced with coffee beans. This is just an uncanny, unbelievable fragrance. There's also like a little bit of a licorice in the backdrop of this fragrance that's ever so faint, but definitely adds some spiciness and definitely intrigue to this fragrance. It's a vetiver done like no other. This is definitely my most unique and most exotic, one of my most exotic vetivers that I own. I absolutely love this stuff. Again, not really discontinued here in the US. I was able to find this in Las Vegas, but most people will have to go to France to be able to acquire a bottle of this fragrance. Some say that it has been reformulated. It's not as strong as it used to be. I'm lucky enough to have a first formulation of this particular vetiver. Needless to say, this is a masterpiece in this collection and definitely worth procuring a bottle. If you can find this and you love vetiver, pull the trigger, you're not going to regret it. As I said before, with Eau Noir being a very unapologetic fragrance, if you guys like oud fragrances, here's another one that will clear out a room. This is bold, brash, and in-your-face oud type scent. Oud Spahan from 2012 is definitely an oud and rose combination, as you can see from the pinkish hue here of this fragrance. Definitely has a lot of roses here. The oud here is going to be in your face and very pungent. I wouldn't say this is a very animalic oud, but it's a little bit in the medicinal side of the oud spectrum. So if you're not a huge fan of oud fragrances, stay away from this stuff. A little bit animalic as well as you get into the heart, into the dry now. Very strong fragrance. You don't need more than 2 sprays here. Believe me, this will last the whole day. If you spray your clothes, it'll be there the next week. It's that strong. I have a full review on this fragrance if you guys want to check it out and learn more about this fragrance, you know, projection, longevity, all that good stuff. But this fragrance not only has the oud and the rose components, but also has some woodsy, like cedar, that makes this a stellar masterpiece. For those who love oud fragrances, this is also another one that I believe has been discontinued and has been replaced from the Maison Christian Dior collection to another oud fragrance called Purple Oud. I haven't actually tried Purple Oud, but from what I hear, it's going to be a lot less strong and pungent as Oud Spahan, which a lot of people have missed. Definitely check Oud Spahan out. If you're an oud fragrance lover, you're going to absolutely love this one. Now, this next one introduced in 2015 and one that needs no introduction. If you guys watch top lists here on YouTube from different fragrance reviewers, including myself, this makes a ton of top fragrance lists in the fall and winter times of the year. This is Feuve Delicieuse, translating to delicious, Tonka, delicious Tonka beans. And this is exactly what this fragrance is. It's a heavy Tonka vanilla type scent with some spices like cinnamon. It's an absolutely outstanding fragrance, delectable, delicious, gourmand style oriental spicy type scent. think of Guerlain's Tonka Imperial. It's going to be in the same vein of that fragrance, like they could be brothers or cousins. Definitely a great fragrance for the cool weather. I'd probably refrain from wearing this fragrance, Oud Spahan and MidSouth, in the dead of summertime, or if you're in the tropical weather. This stuff can be very cloying and very syrupy right here. But if you have a sweet tooth, if you like creamy, delicious, delectable, gourmand style oriental fragrances, definitely look at trying this particular fragrance. I think it's still in production. Don't quote me on that. Again, I'm not really familiar with the Maison Christian Dior fragrance house, just because I don't like the direction that this fragrance collection took, discontinued and changing some of the original, more dairy and stronger fragrances that I love of this particular fragrance when it was called La Collection Privee. So I don't know too much about Maison Christian Dior, but if you guys are interested in learning more or any particular fragrance of this particular Maison Christian Dior collection, please drop in the comments below and I'll look to get it for you guys. But Fiv Delicieux from 2015, a great Tonka Bean fragrance, one of the best, definitely my top 3 favorite Tonka fragrances of all time. From 2011, from François de Maichy, we have a masterfully made patchouli fragrance called Patchouli Imperial. This is going to be a floral citrus take on patchouli. I like to call this a mid-ground kind of patchouli. It's not going to be very heavy, heady, jammy, chocolatey patchouli, and it's not going to be overly floral either. So it's like middle of the road, a great patchouli that anyone can enjoy. If you're getting into patchouli scents, if you love patchouli, either way, this is definitely one to check out. I like this fragrance a lot. It's definitely not my favorite top 5 of the Christian Dior collection, the private collection, but it would definitely make my top 10, probably at the 10th spot. Patchouli Imperial, great one. Again, a floral citrus patchouli with some spicy components and a woodsy backdrop. Check it out if you have it, from 2011, Patchouli Imperial. I don't know if this was discontinued, but I know that you can still find this at Dior boutiques. So we're going to be talking about 2018 release Grise Dior, which is the fragrance that took over Grise Montaigne, which I actually absolutely loved. And they actually changed the profile of this particular fragrance. It's not as good as I once, thought this fragrance was. Right now, it's actually more floral and a lot sweeter, as opposed to the creamier, a little bit spicy Grise Montaigne, which I absolutely adored. It's not bad. It's very good fragrance for spring, early summer, even late summer, but I think it's definitely more on a feminine side of things. I think it lost a little bit of that universal appeal that it once had. So it is good. Not great to my taste, but if you did like Grise Montaigne and you missed that fragrance, this is going to be about 65-70% of what that fragrance once was. So check it out if you can. Definitely not one of my favorites from 2018, Grise Dior. Last but not least, the last one here, my last acquisition from 2018, the new Maison Christian Dior collection, Ballade Sauvage. Now this particular one is a trifecta of peach, bergamot, and figs. So if you like a fruity fragrance that is going to be great for summer, for the springtime, and even early fall, Ballade Sauvage will definitely do the job perfectly. It's got a little bit of woody background, but it's mostly going to be a fruity citrus aromatic with a little bit of a floral backdrop. Definitely universally appealing. I think guys and gals can wear this. A great one of my favorites from the new Maison Christian Dior from what I've tried so far. Fantastic scent, guys. Check it out. Actually lasts pretty good on my skin as well. Ballade Sauvage from 2018. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the time you've all been waiting for. My good, bad, ugly, underrated, and most overrated fragrance from this particular collection, from the ones that I own, of course, in my opinion. So, starting with the good from the fragrances that I own right here, I have to give it to Ombre Nuit. And the reason why I would say this is the good is because of a couple of things that I mentioned to you before. This is going to be mass appealing. It's going to be amazing. It's got black pepper, roses, the amber here, woodsy backdrop. It is mass appealing. It's going to be compliment inducing, a great scent to smell sophisticated, elegant. I sure hope this hasn't been discontinued or I bled through this particular collection, the Maison Christian Dior, because I am in need of a new bottle, as you guys can see. So the good from my collection is definitely Ombre Nuit. The bad from my collection will definitely go to Oud Spahan. This wasn't easy to do. I don't think this is a bad fragrance per se. I'm not huge on oud fragrances. So this is a fragrance that I've gotten both compliments and I've gotten people saying, what the hell are you wearing today? Something stinks in here, it smells too strong. So because I have both effects of the spectrum of this fragrance, both extreme, I think this is a very extreme type scent. I think you're either gonna love it or hate it. I don't think this is a mid-ground type scent at all. So that's the reason why, from the effects that I've got, I love the scent. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it a lot. For an oud type scent, it would definitely make my top 10 favorite ouds of all time. But because of some of the negative, effects and negative, feedback that I've received from this fragrance, I will give it the bad. It wasn't easy to do. I don't think it's a bad scent just because of the bad, feedback that I've received a couple of times. I would give this fragrance the bad, but it's not a bad scent. If you like oud, definitely try to check it out. I think you're gonna like it. The Ugly is actually a fragrance that's associated with a funny story that I've shared with you guys here on this channel, but if you haven't actually watched the video that I told you guys about, which is I think craziest reactions with fragrances, I don't own that fragrance anymore. I've actually decanted and sold it partially, and the fragrance I'm talking about is Leather Oud from the La Collection Privee, which happens to be my least favorite and definitely the Ugly to my taste. On my skin and on my wife's skin, we actually both wore that fragrance once going out, and that's the funny story that I'm going to share with you guys. We both put that fragrance on, we left the house, we're in the car, and all of a sudden we're looking at each other and we're both getting this weird feeling of a smell. And I'm looking at the bottom of my shoe, I see she's looking at the bottom of her shoes like, did we step on shit? It was a funny thing, on our skin, this fragrance, Leather Oud, turns very fecal, very animalic fecal, almost like feces. So to be honest with you, it didn't work for me. I know some people absolutely love that fragrance. I love the artistry that went behind making that particular fragrance. But to my skin, the leather was really, put away, and that fecal oud really came up front and center, and I just couldn't bear wearing it. So for that reason, it is the Ugly. I don't own that anymore, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. The most underrated from 2010, it's definitely MidSouth. I told you guys a story of poor sales, hence the fact that you can't really find this anymore here in America. I know you can find this in Europe, especially in France, at the Dior boutiques in France. Definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite, of this particular collection. When I'm looking for something really stellar, really unique and head-turning, MidSouth is definitely one of the fragrances that I look to wear. So definitely check this out, guys. This is absolutely stellar from beginning to end. It transitions beautifully. It's got rose, incense, spices, honey. Definitely a groundbreaking, head-turning fragrance. The most underrated from the Dior La Collection Privee. So here's the most overrated. It wasn't easy to do. Again, just like ugly fragrances, hard to find ugly stuff with Dior. And the same thing goes for overrated. There's not really a fragrance that gets really talked about except for like Dior Sauvage, which is not a part of this collection. But I had to pick one, so I'm going with Fève Délicieuse just because of the limelight that it gets. Not that it's not a good fragrance, it's a great fragrance, it deserves the praise. But there are a lot of fragrances that are similar to this fragrance. Perhaps Guerlain's, the original Tonka Imperial is one that I like a little bit more than I like this particular fragrance. I think it's more of quality, and perhaps it lasts a little bit longer on my skin. This stuff here I get about 7 to 8 hours. With Tonka Imperial I get 10 plus, and the quality of Guerlain is just amazing on that fragrance as well, with their Girly Nod, fragrance compound, their core that they use, which their signature scent. I absolutely love Tonka Imperial. Side-by-side comparison, if I did a video, that would definitely win. But this is a great one, but just because so many people talked about this fragrance over the past, 2-3 years, I would say this is the most overrated from everything I own, but also a great fragrance. By the way, let me know down in the comment section below which ones are your favorites from the Maison Christian Dior collection or the La Collection Privee. I'd love to read your comments and start a little Dior private blend conversation down in the comments. And did you know that you can find all of these fragrances, pretty much a lot of these fragrances, including the new Maison Christian Dior collection, decants and samples at my partner, myfragrancesamples.com. 100% authenticity, fast shipping, free samples, and customer service from my partner, Mark Mobley, which was my partner at Scent Explorer 2019. Go check out the site. I'll have the link below. There's a Black Friday special going on right now. I believe it ends on December 2nd, and the special is going to be an extra 25% off with code BLACKFRY. So that code BLACKFRY is only good until December 2nd, so enjoy. It's first come, first served, so a lot of the fragrances that he has last of most likely will probably sell out before December 2nd, so don't delay. Enjoy the early access to the Max Forti channel. If you guys are not a part of the Emporium of Scents, definitely do consider checking it out for codes, discount codes, fragrant news, giveaways, everything fragrance related 24/7. Again, that link to the Emporium of Scents fragrance group will also be linked below. So that's all I have for you guys today on the GBUUO from Christian Dior. Let me know down in the comment section below, of course, your thoughts on La Collection Privee, on Maison Christian Dior's But most importantly, let me know which other fragrance GBUs you guys would like me to cover, which other fragrance brands or collections you guys want to see on this channel. Please comment below and I'll definitely consider them for the upcoming good, bad, ugly, underrated, and overrated collections of fragrances here on this channel. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. As always, I appreciate the feedback. Please don't forget to like, subscribe for a lot more, and if you would, please hit that notification bell icon. That way you always get my fragrance reviews and videos straight into your feed. As always, remember, fragrance is emotion in motion, so wear what truly moves you. I'll see you again real soon.